Hey party people, Techno here. In this video I just want to cover the gear setup that I'm going to be using for InRange's Midnight Brutality this year. Kind of talk about the choices that I made and why I made those choices, and this video is going to be followed up after the match with a lessons learned. I expect that there's going to be a lot that I take away from this match in terms of what can be improved, what didn't work so well, what might work better. So ultimately I'm going into the match looking at this as an opportunity to learn. I would definitely like to be competitive in the match. This will be my first fully night vision match, so I'm not expecting to blow anybody out of the water by any means. So I'm looking at it as a great opportunity to learn. Safety first, and then learning second, and if I can stay competitive and not time out on every stage, that will be a bonus. Also, another thing I just want to get out of the way before we start digging into this, I am in no way an operator that operates operationally in any environment, so I have no expertise or foundational knowledge in this area. I am simply somebody who enjoys shooting and who enjoys competitive shooting and also likes to LARP a bit. So I just want to say nothing here should be taken as authoritative or the proper way to do things. I'm learning. This is what I pieced together for this match, and as I said, I expect that I'm going to come away from the match with a whole lot of, well, that didn't work very well. So yeah, what I have here is my helmet and my rifle. I didn't bring out the plate carrier. There's really nothing to speak of there. It's just a budget tier plate carrier, and I'm going to carry some mags on it, no plates, nothing else. I'm going to keep it as slick as possible, so lightweight and slick as possible, so there's really not a whole lot to speak about there. But let's jump into the helmet and take a look at what I've put together here for the match. Starting with a Hardhead Veterans ATE ballistic helmet. I know, you can say whatever you want about them. That's, everybody has their opinion, so there is that. And then on top of that, what I have added to this is what is the name of this company? A Krydex battery holder ballast pack. I think this is pretty much a straight ripoff of the TNVC Mohawk, which is something that in time I will pick up and add to this setup. This was not a top priority for me, so I just wanted to have something that would help me counter the weight of the night vision equipment, and then also in time I think it'll be an interesting comparison down the road to compare the TNVC Mohawk with the Krydex option. And honestly, regardless of how well the Krydex does against the TNVC, I would say buy the TNVC all day long. Buy American made, buy American first. This was just a low priority option, so I went with the budget option with the thought of future comparison. Similar to that would be the ears that I picked up for this helmet setup, and I am going to take this boom mic off for the match. It's completely unnecessary. But here we have the Earmore, or formerly Opsman M32s, M32H to be specific, for the helmet-mounted option. Now, in this case, I am definitely more of a fan of the Sword-in line of headsets, and I would definitely like to get Sword-in ears for this helmet over time. But here again, you might find, as I continue to make videos, that in some cases I have a bit of a morbid curiosity for the low end and what its limitations are and what you can actually get out of these cheaper budget options. And also, these are giving off some serious Tarkov vibes, so there is that. So I picked up the M32s. They do feel cheap. That being said, initial sound quality and comfort, not bad. I mean, they're not Swordens, and they're not Peltors, but honestly, they're better than I was anticipating. I think the key here will be, does the build quality of these things hold up over time, or does the quality and construction of the electronics hold up over time? So that's something we'll see, and when they fail, I will report back with how and why and how bad. The other thing that I have going on here is I did pick up a task light for this helmet. Initially, I was looking at the Princeton Tech, I think it's called the Switch, or the Switch Pro, that has the 2 LED option. Ultimately, I decided to go with the Charge Pro option, and there were a few reasons for that. Despite it being more expensive and being larger in size, there's battery compatibility here between this light and my EOTech, as well as the weapon lights that I have on various other rifles. So that battery compatibility was a bonus for me. The other thing was the configuration of the switch that I was looking at only offered red and IR, at least for the one that I wanted to pick up. This offers me red, blue, IR, and white light. So I thought that was a major advantage. And the way that the programming works, it would be nearly impossible to inadvertently activate the white light option. So the way that that works, if I remember correctly, is a long press on this while it is off will bring you into the IR mode. And then once it's in the IR mode, that's really the only mode it can go in from there. Otherwise, a single press to this will bring on your red LED, and then you can cycle through to the blue LED, but to get to the white light, you have to first turn on either the red or the blue, and then long press the button to get to the white light. So a little bit more involved in getting to the white light, which I kind of like having that there, but I don't want to have it in a way that it can be inadvertently activated. And then finally we get to the mount, really working with like the most basic budget level. Budget's kind of a weird word to use with night vision, but budget level mounting system here. So I just have the Noritos, or however you say that company's name, Rhino mount, the initial ones, as well as, of course, the typical J-arm. I did a couple things here to take some of the play and shakiness out of this mount. So within the Wilcox mount, I actually layered electrical tape on these surfaces here, which had the net effect of pretty much completely eliminating any wobble between the Wilcox mount and the Rhino mount interface. I had cranked down the J-arm to a ridiculous level to eliminate any wobble at this juncture. So what I'm left with is just the inherent wobble of the bayonet interface, as well as this rail track system here as well, which I'm going to try to tighten this down a little bit more with the bungees during the match, but it is what it is. It's the entry-level option. I expect to upgrade it over time, but we'll see how it does for this particular use case. So I think that's everything regarding the helmet. Fundamentally, the helmet is just there to support the night vision, and I'm going with a monocular. So talking about the night vision, all of this pomp and circumstance is really just there to support this guy. So this is my L3 Omni 8 aviation grade PVS 14. This thing is awesome. Like I said, I'm at monocle stage. I haven't gone to binocular or anything like that. Maybe that's in my future. But I have nothing to complain about. This thing is absolutely amazing. So the image quality out of this is pretty astounding. This is in excess of 2,500 FOM with, as L3s are typically known for, 72 line pairs per millimeter. So from that, you can pretty much deduce the SNR, which is pretty astounding. Absolutely love this thing. You know, apart from shooting and everything else, just gotta say, like, night vision for stargazing is just awesome. But so this is the heart of the whole system. Without this, I cannot see. And then without the sight on the rifle, as it's analog, I cannot aim. So going over to the rifle there's nothing particularly special about the rifle itself. What I have here is basically all spikes with a Ruger lower. So bought the spikes upper, bought the spikes LPK, slapped it in a Ruger lower that I had laying around. You can kind of see the other, Magpul stuff that's on there. The stock is a Veltor E-Mod stock with all the compartments in it. I'm a fan of compartments, so I have my batteries in there for night vision and for the EOTech, as well as batteries in the Krydex Mohawk ripoff thingy for ears and night vision and EOTech. So batteries should be covered pretty well. Not that you need to have those on you at the point in time of the match, but I do. So there's that. When I initially got this upper, it would have come with a Magpul Mo 2-piece, just plastic handguard. So I have since upgraded that to a Daniel Defense Omega rail for the middies. This whole thing right here, this thing I got going on is kind of like, it's not old school, new school, it's just middle school, but I really kind of like the aesthetic of the free-floated rail with the front sight block. I don't really have anything else in my inventory quite like it, and I do kind of dig the aesthetics there. What I can say about this system is that it is incredibly accurate, and this is the rifle that I've run in most of the competitions that I've done with 2-gun. So I'm very confident in its reliability and its accuracy. And I tried to keep this as slick as possible. That's kind of what I'm going for here for this match, is maintaining as light a weight and as slick as possible kind of setup as I had at hand. Obviously, this isn't going to compete in the weight department with things like the What Would Stoner Do rifles, but it's pretty lightweight, coming in at about 7 pounds unloaded, I believe. The only other thing really of note here about this rifle is Geissele SSAE trigger. Awesome trigger. Not much more to say about it. They're just really, really good. And as you can probably see, the Blue Force gear padded sling there to carry this guy around. But much like the night vision is the heart of the whole on-head setup, the EOTech is the heart of the rifle setup, because without that, I cannot aim at anything. And originally, when I was going into this match, my intention was to shoot this at the time with this Romeo 5 on this leap mount here. But as I considered it, I kind of figured the Romeo 5 only has 2 night vision settings. It is a budget optic. The glass is not the most amazing out there. So I kind of became concerned about whether that would be a limitation when it came to the match. So I decided to go with the EOTech EXPS3, the 3.2 in this case, to substitute that optic out, mainly for glass clarity and the multiple night vision settings. EOTechs really kind of have it with night vision. You can see with the leap mount here, when I picked this up, I was in between choosing an EOTech versus like an Aimpoint T2. Ultimately went with the EOTech, as you can tell. What else to say about the rifle and the EOTech? I suppose the choice of the reticle, the 2-dot reticle over the 1-dot. Originally, I was looking at the 4-dot reticle, the EXPS 3.4, because I wanted to put a magnifier behind this, and I probably still will, but I figured this is going to be spending the vast majority of its time unmagnified. So the 4-dot reticle looked like it could be quite busy under those circumstances. I just thought the 2-dot reticle would be a nice compromise between the magnified, later when it's magnified, kind of ballistic drop reticle, and running this as it's most often going to be run as, 1X red dot kind of thing. So that was the decision-making process there. I have zeroed this in, taking it out to 300 yards unmagnified without really any issues. So if I miss at the match, it's not because the rifle couldn't do it, it's because I couldn't do it. And that's kind of my takeaway there. So that's the gear that I will be taking to this year's Midnight Brutality. Oh, one thing that I didn't mention, the choosing between the Romeo 5 and the EOTech, I kind of got off on a tangent there. So my thought process there was, where I live now, when it gets dark, there really isn't any light pollution here, so it does get quite dark. However, I have spent time in the area of West Virginia where Echo Valley Training Center is, and when it gets dark there, it gets extraordinarily dark. So I started to question whether just 2 brightness settings for night vision was going to be problematic, because even, if it got too dark and I couldn't get a dark enough night vision setting, then that was going to obscure the target, cause all kind of issues. This was my thought process anyway. So in that case, the EOTech with its 10 night vision settings would give me more options, and also they're just known for better glass clarity. And obviously it's not a budget tier optic, so it should be a far more durable and performant optic if you go just by price as a factor. So that's the thought process there. I will report back on a follow-up video with anything that became problematic, anything that worked quite well, and just come back with my lessons learned. And obviously, if you have any suggestions or thoughts about this, you can throw them in the comments below. Feel free to hate on anything that I have here. That is not really going to bother me, so go for it. But yeah, until next time, guys, take care. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it, and I will talk to you later.